Hi, and welcome back to the Switch Show. So, for today's episode, we'll be considering something quite, interesting. And yeah, I thought about this topic while preparing for a series that I'm going to unpack in the month of April. And and the series, I think I've mentioned it. It has to do with seasons. The seasons of the world. Should I put it that way? Your summer, spring, autumn, and winter. So while thinking about this, there was something very common, something that cut across the board in on all seasons or in all seasons, and that has to do with the vegetation, the plants, the trees, and all that stuff. It came to my mind that across all seasons, the ones that are largely affected, aside human beings and let's say animals, are plants. In different seasons, plants react to the different temperature changes and the rest of it. And there's one particular person, there's a human being that understands or has to understand seasonal change or climatic differences, temperature shifts, and everything. And that person is a farmer. So this episode is going to be looking at the life of a farmer, and how it relates to us in our multiple sectors or in any aspect of life or in any career path that we are choosing for ourselves. So, first of all, who is a farmer? A farmer is a person engaged in agriculture, raising living organisms for food or raw material. I remember back then in primary school, the teacher would have us stand to our feet and recite the definition of agriculture like it was the national anthem. Agriculture is the cultivation of crops and rearing of animals for man's benefit or for man's use or consumption. So the person who engages, the person who tends to the business of agriculture is a farmer. And a key to being a successful farmer is to understand the seasons and climate. Now, every successful farmer out there, this research I've done, or this point I've taken, is from what I've observed, from the little time that I've been able to go to a farm or see a farmland. I've come to understand that the people who plant seeds or who plant crops, they have to understand times, seasons, temperature changes, and all these other stuff. If they do not understand or they do not have a comprehensive knowledge on weather and climate, the production value or the efficiency, the effectiveness of production isn't going to be met. So a key to being a successful farmer, and I'm pretty sure if there's someone that is into the business of farming or agriculture or something like that, something along that line, they will tell you that understanding climate, understanding the seasons, is something that is of high importance. Other important factors aside climate and weather is the nature of the soil, the nature of the seed sown, pests and weed control, tools and equipment. Now, all these things, I would try to relate them to our everyday things. Now, when it talks about the nature of the soil, there is a specific soil texture, there's a specific soil type that is, that is very good. Yes, that is excellent for plant production, and that is the loamy soil. There are about 3 or 4. The 3 I can remember is loamy, sandy, clay. I think there is humus. These soil types, you can plant in all these soil types, but the one that gives you the most, produces more, that let's say stands the test of time, that gives you what you want, is the loamy soil. So similarly to our everyday life, the what I say the environment, let's put it that way, the environment you find yourself in can hamper and dampen your effectiveness and efficiency, or it can spur you up, it can stir you up to do more. So our environment, our locale, things we surround ourselves with are like our soil. We are planted in the midst of multiple things. In the midst of multiple things. So that locale largely influences what we become. And that brings me to the second one, which is the nature of the seed sown. Now, seeds vary, the type of plants vary. Some people are oak trees, some people are apple trees, some people are bamboo, some are peanuts, some are the pepper fruits, whatever. I think you get my point. So everybody's seed is not the same. You can't be a bamboo, you can't be a bamboo plant and you are looking at a pepper fruit or a tomato fruit and you are wondering why you are not growing like them, or you're not shooting upwards like them. There are contrasting, there will be a contrast, there will be a contrast in growth. And while thinking about nature of the seed sown, I decided to do a little bit of research on the bamboo. It says it takes about 3 years for a bamboo culm, that is the cane we see. It takes about 3 years for a bamboo culm to be established. So in that 3 years, instead of growing upwards, it is growing downwards. That means it is extending its roots and pushing down. Now after 3 years, imagine that it takes 3 years to establish a bamboo culm. It takes 3 years for the roots to grow and be strong in the ground, to be firm. And in about 60 days, it attains full maturity. So imagine you were a bamboo plantation and you are looking at a pepper fruit that probably grows every 6 months or every 1 year. And you are wondering why you're not like the pepper fruits, and you kill your bamboo culm or you kill your bamboo plant just because you are not seeing fruits as fast as another person. And now I'm even talking about the pepper fruits. While this is beautiful, the beautiful thing about research is that once you're moving into one topic, it broadens the scope. It extends your horizon. It also came to my notice that the fastest growing plant in the world is actually an aquatic plant called duckweed, and it doubles in size every 2 days. Now this is where things like peer pressure come in. What, your friend is a duckweed and you're a bamboo plant, and your friend is growing every 2 days, why you have to wait 3 years for you to be properly established? So that whole thing, that whole scenario, just picture that whole scenario. That you are a bamboo plant and your friend, or the people around, let's just say the people around you, let me not just put one person, the people around you are all duckweeds. They are growing every 2 days, but you are different. You have to take 3 years to form, to grow, to build, to be enriched, to be nourished. But because everybody is a duckweed and you want to imitate the growth of a duckweed, you cut off your bamboo plant and then you sneeze or you senesce, you start deteriorating, stuff like that. So that's basically it. Another important factor out of the 4 things I mentioned earlier is pest and weed control. Now, weeds are unwanted plants. They are still plants, but they are unwanted. They grow side by side your regular plants. The aim of a weed is to usurp the nutrients from whatever you've planted to sponsor their own growth. Pests are things that come to eat up your plants, perforate the leaves, damage the flowers and the fruits and stuff like that. So these pests and weeds can be seen as external factors. As much as something looks good to you, something that is around you looks good, it can be detrimental. A weed looks like a plant. if you see a weed, if you are new to farming, you see a weed growing beside your plant, and that's taking this position of mimicry. It's mimicking what your plant looks like. You won't know. You look at it and oh, this plant is growing really rapidly. And when you're expecting your harvest, you go there and you actually find out that your plant has died, and it was the weed mimicking your plant's growth. So you see that there are factors and there are circumstances around us that aim to inhibit our growth. We call them obstacles. We call them, should I say, stumbling blocks. We call them barricades. So these things can be removed, but most times they are disguised as something good, because often times than not, we always look out for the bad things. We don't look out for the things that are disguised as good. So while some things they are outrightly shown or outrightly displayed as bad, there are some things that are disguised as good things, that are usurping your energy, usurping your nutrients, taking away from you. Okay, and that brings me to my final point, which is tools and equipment. Now, a farmer is as good as his tools. A lumberman is as good as his axe. I think I heard something. I probably won't quote it right. I won't quote it verbatim. It says, if a lumberman is given a task to chop down a tree in 2 days or in 3 days, he uses 2 days to sharpen his axe and uses 1 day to cut down the tree. That's to tell you that when you look at the nature of the soil, the seed sown, whatever plans you've made, whatever contingent plans or whatever areas of contingencies you've noted or you've put in place, the tools, the equipment, the requirements, the qualifications needed to execute those plans and objectives are as important as the plans and objective itself. So if your tools are not sharp enough, if they are not firm, if they are not developed, if they are not thoroughly furnished, you will go there, you will go into a gun fight with a sword and you definitely lose. So yeah, this is just, will I say, a short admonition, to us. The farmer is also one of the most patient people on earth. So whatever it is you've sown, whatever plants you've put in the ground, whatever it is that you're building towards, you need to understand that it requires patience, it requires commitment, it requires a level of devotion, it requires care and nurturing. You need to understand that it is planted and it is not buried. Something that is buried, when you bury something, you don't expect it to spring forth life. But something that is planted, there's an expectation attached to planting, and that is that life is going to come forth or come through from the ground. So your plants, you yourself, you are planted and not buried. All right, so yeah, that is basically what this episode is just talking about. It's the farmer's tale. We are analyzing how farming intersects with our everyday life, and I hope you've gotten a thing or two. We're going to start a series in April, titled Seasons. We're going to run through the 4 seasons, and how it relates to us as people. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next episode. That will be next month. Yeah, I hope to see you soon. Remember, be the light that the world needs, even though they don't know they need it. And flip that switch and illuminate your world. God bless you.